and welcome to another installment of DI How Do I with Dealer Inspire. Thank you all for coming this week. We got a really exciting webinar happening today. It's going to be a really good one. Just a couple housekeeping reminders. One, everyone will be on mute, so just kind of make sure that if you have any questions, you can always send them by email or you can send them through the chat, and we'll answer those questions real time. Also, the webinar is posted up on the website, usually within 24 hours. Been doing a little tweaking, trying to make things a little better. So it's been a little longer, but yeah, you can usually look for it within 24 hours, and I'll be sending a link out to everybody. Also, you'll be receiving a email about the surveys. So the surveys, we've been getting a lot of really good feedback. Also, we've been able to pick topics straight from there. I kind of changed up the questions a little bit so we can really see what you guys want to know and make sure we deliver that. So that's it for my housekeeping. We have really special guest with us today. Joe Chura is in with us, and he is going to be telling us about the real tools. He's going to be telling us about the real tools that the pros use to diagnose your, any sort of marketing on your website. So it's a professional online tools to diagnose your digital marketing, make sure your website health is good, healthy, answer those questions that we all have that, sometimes it's just so difficult to find the answer for, but he's going to make it simple and really easy. Thanks so much, Joe.
Thank you, Shawnee. It's great to be here, and I'm ready to get started. So hopefully there's no questions. What we're going to cover today is a few points. I'm going to deep dive into why aren't we ranking for a keyword phrase. This is something that comes up often. Why is my bounce rate high? I know many of you belong to 20 groups, so you're comparing your stats against other dealers, and sometimes your bounce rate may seem low or high. And there are usually reasons for that, and just wanted to dive into that. And how do you know, or how do I know if our marketing efforts are working or not? And of course, the always infamous, why are my leads up or down? So I'm going to dive into first, why aren't we ranking for a keyword phrase? So I'm going to stay on this slide for a second, just kind of go through how I start to diagnose potential issues or problems, or just why a certain keyword phrase may not be ranking. So I'm going to just go through these real quick. So the first thing I'll do is look at site commands, and I'll show you all this live in a second. Then there's something called the Quicks app that I use, and then source code. So those are the first thing I do is on the technical side is look for any issues that may be preventing the website to be ranked properly and so forth. But even before that, what I want people to start paying attention to is it worthy? Is the keyword that I'm trying to rank for a keyword that people are actually searching? So first thing I would do is let's just say that you're the dealer principal or a marketing agency, or even yourself. You want to rank for a specific keyword. It's important to you for some reason. That doesn't mean it's necessarily the best word to go after organically and spend a lot of money and time trying to rank for a keyword that really either no one's searching, or the keyword search is so broad that it's not going to drive an ROI to your dealership. So the few things you want to do initially to diagnose that is really just type in Google, and you can use an incognito window. I'll show you a few tricks, how to personalize, how to take away the personalization through search and whatnot. But just typing in if a dealer wanted to rank for a Mercedes dealer, Illinois. So you type that in Google, scroll down, look at the search results, see where they're at, see where they're sitting for that specific keyword phrase. And then if they're not there, if they're not in the desired spot, the second thing I would do is look and say, well, is anyone really searching for that keyword phrase in Illinois? And it turns out that according to Google AdWords, now this is not exact, but it definitely gives you a nice comparison. That keyword phrase gets about 20 searches in Illinois. So right then, I would say that's a red flag. I don't know if that's the best keyword phrase to go after. One is it's not very specific. So it's a pretty broad keyword phrase, Mercedes dealer, Illinois. If someone did click to your website, they may live in Springfield, and they may not be the right buyer for you anyway. So assuming you're in Chicago. So that's one thing to look at. If you're still dead set on going after it and saying, hey, you know what, I'm going to put a lot of SEO effort into this, meaning I'm going to create pages and do a lot of things. The second thing, what I would do is do a paid search test. So create through your Google AdWords campaign, create an exact match keyword phrase for Mercedes dealer, Illinois. And what that will do is it will allow you to see the click-through rate. Are people clicking on it? Now you're only paying if someone actually clicks on that specific ad. And then when someone clicks on it, you can see how sticky that visitor is and where they're actually coming from. If the results after 2 weeks of, I would say, put $100 toward it or $50, if you can even spend that much money for that exact keyword phrase, if you can't go through the budget, then it's not worth it. If you put $100 toward that term for 2 weeks and you're getting enough searches and click-throughs, then what I would want to do secondly is start analyzing the traffic. Is it high quality traffic? Is it the right traffic? Are these people bouncing because they're not from around this area? We have no opportunity to sell them a car, or is this a potential good keyword phrase to use for? The second thing that I would look at is for any technical issues, like why may I not be ranking for that keyword phrase, right? There's already a piece of content on the website, or the website's framed in a way where the meta title says Illinois in it, and it's really specific, and there's a lot of good Illinois content. Then I would say, hey, is there an issue with the indexation of the site? And for this, I use a tool. It's super easy to use. It's called the Quicks app. So it's a bookmarklet, which you can find just by going to, I think it's just quicksapp.com. You could just Google Quicksapp. Yeah, just quicksapp.com. You can go here to this bookmarklet. You take this and you just drag it up to your favorites. So what this does is when you're on your website, you can just click this Quicks button, and then you type in a command like SEO. And this will automatically return results. And if you see anything in red, and believe it or not, we've seen this before, that there could be a code issue where the site or the page may not be able to be indexed, meaning Google cannot store that page in its library. If they don't store the page in its library, they're never going to be able to pull it out if a user or a visitor is searching for a keyword phrase. So this is what I look at right here. And then you want these things green as well. So if I wanted the homepage to rank for Mercedes dealer Illinois, I'm obviously going after the wrong terms. We know just in working with this client that we'd rather rank for something like Chicago, Mercedes dealer Chicago, and so forth. So that's what we're going after here. But hypothetically, you'd want to have something related to Illinois in the meta title and then the meta description. It cannot be spammy. It has to be real. But saying Mercedes-Benz dealer Chicago, Illinois is not a bad thing. The other thing I would check while I'm in here is a header check. And this allows you to say, hey, is this server response adequate? Meaning, and this gets a little into the weeds here, if there's a 400 or there's anything other than a 200 here, you could have a potential issue as well. So you just want to make sure that your site is in a good, healthy condition. And the Quicks app is so easy to use that, and it's free, that I would definitely check that. Now, you can do all of these things, searching through source code and whatnot, but again, this just makes it very simple. So let me close these out. It's a little messy. The next thing I would do is, as I'm looking at the website, is I would look at the source code. And what do you want to look at the source code for? And the Quicks app actually does this as well, but I want to show you the old school way, is search for the word. So I just right clicked, I'm in Chrome, I said view source. Now I'm seeing the HTML code of the website and how it's displayed. So now I can hit Control F and I could search within this code base here. And I want to look for something called canonical. A canonical tag is a reference that website builders give to Google to say, hey, here's the real URL of my page. This, again, believe it or not, is an issue that I've seen in the past where because of an error in the website build or just various other things, the canonical tag was copied to every page in the website. So essentially, you were telling Google, hey, don't pay attention to the real URL here. Just look for this canonical tag. So this canonical tag right here, Mercedes-Benz Chicago.com, it looks good to me. I think we're in good shape. If this said something other than Mercedes-Benz-Chicago.com, which is what the main URL is, then we'd be in trouble. So then the next thing I want to do is say, okay, well, do we have anything on the website related to Mercedes dealer Illinois? And the reality is, in this case, it doesn't look like we have a lot. And how you create this is you do a cite command. So with Google, I'm sure many of you on the call know this, but you can just type in cite colon and then the website URL. And Google is just going to display results only from this website here. What most people don't know is at the end of that, you can type in a search phrase, or you can even put in quotes, and then Google will return results based on that keyword string that you put at the end. So in this case, Mercedes-Benz Chicago is number one. Google thinks that the closest page related to Mercedes dealer Illinois is this About Us page. So a pro tip here is if you do want to rank for this keyword phrase and you are building content around Mercedes dealer Illinois, in this case, we're not really. There looks like there's a blog here and there's a few other things. But if you were doing that, then what I would do is look at these search results, and these are the best pages to add internal links to the page that you create regarding Mercedes dealer Illinois. And then that page should redirect to the homepage. So that's a pro tip that may be a little too fast there, but essentially what you do is put the keyword that you want to rank for at the end of the site URL string, look at the search results, and then you can clearly identify pages that I can add internal links to. So let's just say I go to the About Us page, and as I'm scrolling down here, I might have a link here in this copy that is not spammy, that has something to do with Illinois and the fact that we are a dealer in Illinois. And that link then would go to a page just about how you're an Illinois dealer. Again, you can't make it spammy, so it has to be about the customer. It has to be like, why Illinois, and just more than just a page full of text. It has to be a nice looking page. So highly recommend that. The next thing I would do is look at the backlinks that you're getting to a website. So for example, here's a case where we are ranking for a keyword phrase for dealers Indianapolis. So this is a good non-branded keyword phrase that we're trying to rank Andy Moore Ford for. So Andy Moore Ford is ranked for that. And when you look into it, you can see that they have a nice page of content regarding Ford dealers in Indianapolis. So it matches the keyword phrase and so forth. So if you Googled Andy Moore Ford /cities Ford dealers in Indianapolis, you'd see this actually show up in search results. So if we were not ranking for this keyword phrase, then I would want to do a site search and say, hey, is this even indexed yet? Now, if you're just creating fresh content, the page may not be indexed for a few days, maybe it'll take a week. So it's not an immediate thing. So don't panic if you're creating this content and it's not showing up immediately. The next thing I would want to look at then is backlinks. And hey, how many backlinks are we actually getting to these pages and this website and so forth? So you want to create content that's shareable, that is, you're not just building these artificial links through websites to. You want to create shareable content through social media and just through the natural organic way people share content through email and whatnot. And eventually those pages will get ranked higher because they're getting shared more.
Joe, question
Yes.
real quick.
Yeah.
So our backlinks, those are the links that are on external sites that link back to your site. Is that correct?
Yes, that is correct.
10 points to Gryffindor.
So the other things you may want to do, so in this case, we are ranking for this keyword phrase, but if I took out and this is what's goofy about Google sometimes. So if you take out the S here and you just do Ford dealer Indianapolis, there's a different set of search results. So being an inquisitive person, I would want to say, well, are those really accurate or are they just personalized to me? So what I would do is create an incognito window, and I would search for that. I would just take that same string and then I would search there. And then at the end of my search, I'm going to append it with the ampersand, and then the words or the letters PWS for personalized web search equals 0. So essentially what I'm doing is making it as blind as possible to Google to say, don't give me personalized web search results. I don't want any of them. And I'm in incognito as well. So when I pull it back up, it is true. I am not ranking for that keyword for Ford dealer Indianapolis, but I am for Ford dealers Indianapolis. So if I really wanted to rank for this keyword phrase, one is I would kind of pick my battles. I wouldn't create a ton of pages for those variations for plural and singular names and so forth. What I would want to do is just drive more content, external content with some anchor text regarding Ford dealer Indianapolis or something that has some context around it to try and rank for that keyword phrase. Then if I am creating a piece of content, and this gets a little nerdy here, and then I'm gonna stop talking about this one tip because I know this is this is already gone pretty long, but this is fun. So I like this tool called Uber Suggest, and what this does is it gives you the what's called latent semantic indexing words. So basically, in a nutshell, if you think about, let's just say, bedding, and Google's search engine and all the search engines are smart enough to associate all products with a bedding category, like pillows, sheets, and so forth. Those would be like latent semantic words that are associated with a main kind of hierarchical keyword, phrase, or string. In this case, Mercedes dealer Illinois, when I type this in there, going back, it's saying, hey, you know what? You should also use some of these other keywords in your copy, or make sure that they're kind of surrounded in context with these other words. So use Mercedes dealer in Illinois. There's a couple of those and whatnot. So this tool is not perfect, but it gives you a lot of opportunity to see what other related words you should use in your copy. Again, and you have to do it in a clever way where it's not spammy. It actually provides a good user experience. If it doesn't provide a good user experience, just stop and do not do it. Do not just put a bunch of text on a page. It doesn't work anymore. I would highly suggest not doing that. So going to the next slide, hopefully you guys have questions on that. Why is bounce rate so high? So this is a question that I get all the time when I speak at 20 groups, when I'm around our team and so forth. And we have alerts that are set up, and I highly suggest that you set up alerts in Google Analytics that push to you when something's out of whack. And I don't have time today to show you how that works, but you can definitely call our office and we'll walk you through that and how to set those up. In fact, Jennifer I'm sure who's listening, would be glad to set those up for you or to show you. So what I like to do if the bounce rate's high is just understand why. Like, why is it high? It's usually not an issue like, hey, your website is created poor. I don't care what provider you're with, your bounce rate's high. It's typically more of a factor of your marketing efforts. So, and this again isn't necessarily a bad thing. So what I like to do in this case is the first and really only thing you need to look at, unless you really see a problem, is you go to your Google Analytics and go under acquisition and then go under sources and medium. So in this case, I'm looking at sources medium and I see, okay, CPC, organic, and I see all of these referrals or mediums that are driving traffic to the website. Well, right in this column here, I can see the bounce rate and I can see, oh, wow, CPC, paid search, has a 75% bounce rate, right? Most of you are probably gasping right now and saying, whoa, that is horrible, 75%, who would do that? Organics, 27%. So that's in line with what I would think. Lot links, 82%. I'm sure that's pretty normal. It's directed to a VDP or VRP page. It's very specific. And then the list goes on. I'm not going to go through it all. But what I want to do immediately is I said, wow, we have 15,000 visitors with the 75% bounce rate. I'm going to click on this right here and see what's going on. So now I look at it and I'm just like, yep, that's definitely true. I have that. And then I am going to go into the AdWords section here. And this is why if you're not seeing data here, that means that it's not connected. Your AdWords and analytics accounts aren't connected. So make sure they are connected. Otherwise, you're blind to all of this. So what I like to look at here is, okay, well, what campaigns are causing this high bounce rate? And sure enough, it's display. So now I go back to, well, why? Well, if you think about display advertising, it's very much like push marketing. It is push marketing. You're pushing out a message to someone who's not necessarily asking for it. Now, you can push a message out through Google AdWords and whatnot through in-market shoppers and so forth. You're still getting in their face, and they're not asking for things like in Google search, and then all of a sudden you're returning answers to them, right? So you're pushing it out there. So inevitably, you have to treat display almost like you're treating traditional media, traditional marketing. It's more of a branding play. So believe it or not, I wouldn't be that alarmed for that high of a bounce rate. And I know that is crazy because the intent of display isn't necessarily to drive thousands of visitors. Now, that'd be great if it happened and all of them convert. It's to get the brand message out there. Because if you look at what it costs to do that, 30 cents to get a brand impression out there, it is a really good supplement or addition to television or radio and whatnot. So if you're trying something new, don't be alarmed. This is also really good for like new points and just newer dealers in the area that don't necessarily have a presence. Having a high bounce rate on a display branding campaign is not necessarily a bad thing. So I guess in summary, look at the why, and then that doesn't mean that you can't improve on these ads. You can't improve on the whole experience. You definitely can, but at least you have a baseline, and you know that if you're comparing yourself against someone else, you made the decision to say, hey, I'm going to do display advertising. I know my bounce rate is going to be higher. So you can't just look at the overall number. You have to really dive in. All right. In earned versus unearned media, earned media is media that you don't pay for. Unearned media is just that, like you pay per click. You're paying for CPM. You did not earn it with the consumer, and you're kind of pushing it out there. And then again, just to reiterate, traditional marketing is powerful, and anything that you're doing on television or radio, I would definitely recommend having a display and remarketing campaign, but just know your bounce rate is going to go up. Okay, so how do you know if your marketing efforts are working? So this, I'm going to take more of a simplistic approach to this one, and again, just kind of go back to let's see here. I'm going to go back to Google Analytics. So as you can see, I'm relying a lot on Google Analytics to help me understand how I'm doing as a business. So the first thing I'm going to look at in this is the goal completions. So I'm looking at goal completions, and you can kind of just drill down here and see what pages are really hot through the goal completions. You can also look at each lead form and whatnot. What I really like here and what's missed a lot is this attribution model comparison right here. So right here you have a page where it actually breaks down every single lead that you received through your website platform. So direct here, let me see here. Direct, you look at conversions right here, organic, referral, paid search, email, display, and social networks, right? So I'm looking at these conversions, and I'm getting a good idea to say, okay, well, I see organic search, and you can even go back and compare this to a previous period and see if things are going up or down and whatnot. So right here, I'm looking at this. I'm saying organic search, we're up 119% period over period as far as these goal conversions that we're tracking. Now, there's a couple flaws into just comparing goal conversion tracking. The biggest flaw is that it looks at a last click model, meaning if someone visits your website 5 different times, let's just say the first time they go to your website, they're coming up a paid search ad, the second and third time they're coming off a Facebook ad, the fourth time they're coming off of an organic ad, and let's say the fifth time they're coming in just direct. They're just typing it in. Well, in Google, by default, if you don't change this, it's only counting that last click. So all of the efforts that you did to get people to your website before are not going to be counted unless you look at this model comparison tool right here. The other flaw is that it's looking at a window of 30 days prior to conversion. We know based on stats that the average consumer, they're in the market for 45 days prior to a conversion, meaning that usually, according to Datium and according to our data, the consumer has been shopping for a car online for like 40 plus days. Now, there's always exceptions and anomalies and so forth, but that's on average. So you want to set the look back window to 45 days. And then in here, I'm going to look at a different model. So I'm going to look at last click interaction, and I see direct, see organic search, and so forth. I'm going to change this to linear. Linear isn't necessarily perfect, but it's a lot better than last click. So what linear does is it looks at all of the visits and it gives them equal credit. So those 5 visit examples I gave a minute ago, instead of giving credit to the last click, it's going to give credit to each one of them. So in this case, by adding this model on, I could see how it changes based on going from linear to last click. So in this case, organic search, by looking at the linear model, we actually have an increase in conversions to 10.9%. So essentially, there was 10% more conversions looking at a linear model than the last click model. Referral, 12.26%. Paid search, 5%. So you can see that if you are not looking at the whole customer path, you're missing a lot of data. So going back to how do you know if your marketing efforts are working? You won't know properly from your website unless you're using this model comparison tool in Google Analytics. The other thing that you have to pay attention to, you'll see more and more today that direct is really kind of creeping up there. I want to point out something that came out last year, and that was from Groupon, and they basically did a test where they wiped out their site from search engines for, I think it was 24 hours. This article explains it, but so they basically took it offline, and they saw that that a lot of their traffic was still direct traffic, even though people were using it organically. So this article explains it. Essentially, in a nutshell, 60% of direct traffic is actually organic search. Now, this was Groupon's experiment, so it's not 100% accurate for your website, but I will say that a large percentage of your direct traffic is organic. So just pay attention to that. Also, as you can see how I search in this bar up here, I'll actually start typing a URL in, and because it remembers it, it's a lot easier to search that way, and then I'll hit enter. So a lot of people are doing that as well. So it's getting harder to recognize what data is actually 100% accurate, because nothing really is. But it is important to know that a lot of the direct data is organic. The last slide that I want to touch on, and then we could take questions, is how do you know? Looks like I lost my slide here. How do you know if your leads are up or down? Like what happens if someone comes to you and says, "Hey, my leads are down and whatnot." How do you diagnose that? So the first few things I would do is I would look at the website itself. And essentially, I would look at all the leads that came in directly off the website and start tracking those, and say, okay, how many leads then from the website pass on to the CRM? Does that count match? And then the next thing I would do, and all these slides we're gonna hand out. I don't want to search for the deck now, but the next thing is to review the Google Analytics goal tracking like we just did. and then look at CRM data. So you have to really rely on your CRM, make sure that matches the leads to your website and so forth. Then I want to look at, are third-party scripts taking a data away from your website? So many times when you're comparing data, if you're looking at two different periods, you may have added a third-party tool like Make My Deal or even X Time. And if you're comparing data off over two periods, let's just say it's year over year, and you see leads are drastically off, usually it's because of, or up, it's usually because you either were using a tool that was framed in before and now you're not, or now you're using a framed in tool. So some more examples of those are the used car valuation tools. Again, Make My Deal, X Time, um, like Edmunds, like they have a plugin, any Auto Trader trade-in marketplace plugin, anything like that takes data away from your website. So you have to count that data. Now, I'm going to conclude with this ROI calculator that we created for you, so we can actually send this out to you. It's a really simple way to understand when you are planning marketing, or when you're looking at to increase, let's just say, your spend in a certain area, that you can actually predict in a way what you can see as an increase for as far as leads sold and an ROI. So the first thing you want to do here is you want to type in your gross per vehicle sold. So in this case, I'm going to do $2,000. So $2,000, you can do front or back end, whatever you want. This is your calculator. You can type it in. So I'll actually change that to 1,500. So then I will look at my conversion rate from lead to sale. So out of all the leads that are coming in my website, or just my CRM period, how many of those leads do I close? So we see around the country anywhere from 6 to even 20%. We have a few dealers that are right near 20. So I'm going to put 15% here. So let's just say that your current budget is $7,000, and your current cost per click is $3.11. Your current conversion rate 1.49, and we also plug in what's called loss impression share. So if you are creating ads, or you're doing AdWords with a company, they're probably sending you a report that says loss impression share. And essentially what that means is I am not sure, like, you would not be showing up as much as you can be due to your budget. So you're losing impressions due to budget. So you can type that number in here, and it's going to automatically recommend a new budget for you. And say the recommended budget in this case, because your loss impression share is 55%, is an increase of $3,850, which will then deliver you 2,250 visits. Based on the math there, you're going to get 37 leads, and based on your lead to sale rates, you're going to sell 6 vehicles. So 37 leads at a 15% conversion rate will bring in 6 sales. And 6 sales at 1,500 will produce another $8,325 in gross, which will then essentially bring you a pretty solid ROI if you think about it. So you just increased your budget by $3,000, and you're able to get that. So just a cool calculator that we'll send off in the links to the webinar. I'll also send a link to that Groupon study as well, so you can see that. And I know I went over a ton of stuff very fast. So I was trying to make it in the 20-minute time, but found that was impossible.
That's all right. Yeah. That's quite all right. Everybody is listening very raptly. So this, as Joe just said, this is all some amazing stuff. I know you guys are going to have questions, especially needed to digest some of it. So now's the time to send any questions that you have. Joe, do you want to top off any points or anything?
Yes, I would say that, it's don't dive too deep into the data. Look at trends, and look at kind of baselines, right? Your dealership is unique, your website's unique. You're comparing yourself against someone else. You guys are going to have different goals. You're going to have different results. So if you know what your baseline is, then it's really important then to measure things as you change your marketing efforts and whatnot. So it's important just to get a baseline of metrics depending on who you are.
Right. Well, and from my, from like a basically kind of like a standpoint where I am, where I do more of the training and education. But from here, it also sounds like it's something that you want to find the story. You want to find the reason why, not just take any sort of number or metric as face value, but dig into it. You have to kind of Sherlock Holmes it a little bit and kind of see what variables, what factors are playing in to kind of creating the numbers, whether they look great, good, bad. Use these tools to kind of help build that story and really get that idea. So okay, so oh, here we go. So we got a question here.
Yeah. So Don asked, do you have a recommended list of metrics for baseline metrics? I do, and I could send that over now. The top metrics to look at are sales, and then gross profit. I would say any dealer is going to want to concentrate on those things first. The next things I would look at are visits, leads, and then leads by source, and then kind of go down from there to then unique traffic and so forth. So then once you again establish that baseline and you make changes, let's just say that you are doing television advertising. One thing you want to measure your baseline before you start that is direct and organic traffic. So how does that look? And then once you run through the campaign, see what lift your traditional marketing brought you.
All right, great. Thanks so much. All right, any other questions? While you guys think of those questions, I just real quick, I want to talk again about our first annual Innovation Awards. So that's going to be December 3rd at Two Brothers Roundhouse. So it's going to be absolutely amazing. One of the things is part of our fifth year, it's a milestone. So it's our fifth annual holiday extravaganza with Dealer Inspire. And we want to celebrate all you innovators out there, all you dealerships, people, internet marketers, sales marketers, all you people working and building these sites and helping us grow. So more information is going to be coming on that as we get closer. So by all means, please, you can. I think we have a post on our Facebook page, so you can definitely check that out. And so that's going to be coming up. So that's going to be something that's it's going to be tons and tons of fun, and you get to maybe you'll get an award, and maybe you'll get famous. So we'll see. All right, so you have a couple more questions here, Joe. That's good.
Yeah, I'm going to take Ryan's question next. So Ryan asked, do I recommend using Google Trends? Google Trends is great for kind of just knowing where the industry is going. It's not good for, I don't want to say this lightly because I'm sure there's exceptions to this, but it's not good for very specific kind of niche terms. It's good for to understand like trends. Obviously, it's called Google Trends. So for example, like leasing, or like one thing I was looking at recently is artificial intelligence. Like, are more people searching for it now than they were before? And it turns out, in looking at this, there's actually more searches for artificial intelligence in 2004, which I find fascinating because now people are talking about, especially with Tesla and the rockets. AI is becoming a big thing and something we're actually looking at from a technology standpoint for the automotive space. But it's just interesting to look at Google Trends from a broad view like that to say, hey, in 2005 people were actually searching more for that. Same with virtual reality. You guys have heard potentially that virtual reality is here to stay now. But in 2004 there was more people searching for it than 2015, which is crazy with Facebook's acquisition of Oculus and a ton of those things um, that there's still not as much draw to it as there was before, because it's almost like someone got burnt. How I would use it as an auto dealer is I would look at things like leasing versus financing. Like, are more people searching for leases nowadays? And I'm not going to fumble around with searches right now for those things, but use Google Trends and look at that, because that'll help your business to know, hey, what should I really be concentrating on? So I do think Google Trends has a place. I just don't think it's for looking at keywords to try and rank for. Don has another question. Good questions, Don. If I don't manage the AdWords campaigns, do I find out the loss impression share through the PPC management? Yes, you can find that if you should be able to get access to your Google AdWords um, campaigns or the Google AdWords website, so you can go back in there and you can look at your loss impression share. And what I would do when I'm looking at that is make sure you look at it by campaign. Just don't look at it overall, because you may see like like competitors, for example. There's always going to be loss impression share there, but that doesn't necessarily mean you're going to want to exhaust that budget. So hopefully that helps. Definitely look at it by campaign. Um, Dave Kelly has a great question. Would you not use Google Trends to use the amount of searches for your dealer name? You can definitely try. The reality is there's probably not going to be any results. Google Trends, again, is more of a kind of a worldly view on keyword searches, and it's more trending. And what I would use is the Google AdWords tool for that, which you can just look at the keyword tool in your Google AdWords account. So you go into google.com/AdWords, log in, go under tools, look at the keyword planner, and you can see the search volume there. That's a better place to look for that. The other thing I would do is set up Google alerts as well. So anytime someone or anytime a piece of content is indexed about your business, then you get an alert through your smartphone or through an email. But that's a great question. And thanks, Dave, for the happy running. Chicago Marathon is upon me just a little over a week away, so it's been brutal. David Kelly, who's on here, is my online motivation. Thank you, thank you.
Yeah, that's I got to give. Yeah, we have actually a few of our launch peeps and dealer inspired peeps. It's you and Tiffany Perkins, Bruce Etzgorn,
Yeah.
and Matt. Yeah, so we have quite a few runners. So God bless them, those crazy people. So I'll run if something's chasing me, pretty much. But they are inspiring, and you can tell they all look really good. Joe's rocking. He's got to get a license for those guns he's carrying.
Well, thank you there. So yeah, and I guess in closing, everyone, I know I went through things very fast. If you have any specific questions, you can. Thank you, Jordan. You can reach out to me or Shawnee anytime, and I'll be happy to answer your questions. I'm available at jchura@dealerinspire.com. You could just shoot me an email there, and I'll be happy to look into anything and to help you start to diagnose your marketing efforts any way you want. Thank you for all the nice comments.
Okay. All right. Thank you so much, Joe, for for taking the time out and really, explaining this stuff to us and, showing us how the pros do it. So really appreciate your time and effort.
All right, everyone, have a great day. Thank you.
So just so you guys, so we got our next webinar is going to be all about conversations. So you probably are very much aware of it or at least heard of it. But you guys, this is an amazing tool. It's an amazing function. I mean, it's really taking it's evolution. It's revolutionizing and evolutionizing chat. So chat is gone. Now is a really time to make an impression with your with your clients, your visitors, and be able to make that sale regardless of where you are, where they are, and really build up, rapport and just have a ton of tools in your hands. So next week we will be talking all about conversations with Nate Jones. And so please, sign up for that and be on the lookout for that. Also, as always, if you have any questions, please send them out. You can send them to me at dealerinspire.com. You can always email Joe at jchura at dealerinspire.com. And we will definitely be getting all this information packed up in a nice little, neat packet for everybody. And we'll send it out. So you guys will have these tools in hand and really be able to utilize them. So thank you, everyone, so much for your time and your attention.